Hello, my name is Francis Fox, and I'm a trained remote viewer. I was also trained in interspecies communication and in all the other psychic abilities. I was in a program for mind expansion looking for human potential, which basically at the end of the spectrum is superpowers, which we have achieved at least two or three other times on the planet in unwritten human history. Excuse me, we're there again. Um, with an awful lot of technology, um, perhaps not quite the level of ethics that we need, and with the total imbalance of elements, which could create huge problems, multiplier effect when you get the technology. We have had a very interesting weekend. We had the solar flares on the 10th. There were a lot of solar flares bring in extra of the fire element. The fire element is the food of the devil. The devil is a type of spirit from a particular part of the galaxy. I cannot say that supposedly a lot of them are from Orion. I don't really know. And I don't really care. But we have too much food for them on this planet, and they've always been interested in it. So we get the solar flares. We have more food for that type of spirits. And I have noticed, and you will notice also, that entirely too many people are losing control of their bodies. They're losing control of their personalities, but also their physical bodies. Like their bodies are doing weird things. I've seen it several times on X, and people are showing little videos and saying, "What's the matter with this person?" And you may already know a couple of people around you that are just not the same. On Friday, the 10th, the solar flares, the level of the element of fire that came in ejected a lot of people's consciousness out of their physical body, their assemblage of bodies. And really bad spirits entered, and it appears to be mainly in the third eye, which is the command center for human beings. The command center in human beings is not the heart chakra. I wish it was. So we will increasingly see people with really weird behavior, the kind of behavior that you can't negotiate with them, you can't change it, there's no explanation. They're not in control of their bodies either, which is what you need to know. Anytime your body moves that you did not decide to move it, a tick, a muscle that cramps, that's a spirit. Somebody made that decision. Restless leg syndrome, those are spirits. So when you see increasingly people not totally in charge of their bodies and people certainly not in charge of their minds, then you need to know that it's because we are even more out of balance. Why am I talking about this right now? Well, the zombie issue is really big. I mean, it's been predicted by everybody in the Bible 2,000 years ago, the Mayans, the dolphins. It's a very real thing. And apparently, the solar flares around the 10th opened a door, and we're going to have a lot more zombies. Ja, like now. Okay, so let's go to this weekend and the things that have been happening in the last several days. And several of the on X today and yesterday, there were several chats, posts, couldn't find the name, where they list a number of people that have been assassinated or attempted assassination in the last several days. Okay, yes, this can be a conspiracy. Yes, totally accurate. Probably is. Oh, they're all against the New World Order, whatever. Probably is. But what you need to know is those are symptoms. Why are you working on symptoms? If you knew this, you would go, why am I working on a symptom? Why don't I go to the generator? You didn't know it. Most people don't know it. Someday somebody's going to explain to me how we were able to get to this point to where we don't know that the health of our society is also based on the balance of the elements. I think Al Gore, in his own way, in his book An Inconvenient Truth, tried to tell us that. And we certainly didn't hear it very well, and everybody ended up being angry at him because he had too high an electrical bill. Okay, we have an excess of the fire element. You cannot have assassinations unless there's an excess of the fire element. You can't have it. Not going to happen. So what's going on if you go to causal, and absolutely you want to go to causal, rather than having to remember that I'm a product of conspiracy. So I'm not going to say I love conspiracy. That's not true. But I'm very familiar, and it certainly explains a lot of things. But you know what? We need to get deeper than that. And if you go deeper, having to do with everything that's happening in terms of killing people, it's all an excess of the fire element. When we got ready to invade Iraq, don't know how many years ago that was, I put up a post and I said, why are we invading Iraq? But I wasn't asking politically, because I'm not allowed to do that, but I'm not interested either. I said, we need to airdrop marijuana onto Iraq. What? Well, you can't have a war unless you have excess fire. So why don't we reduce the fire rather than invade? Nobody listened to me. They didn't even find it funny. I thought it was hilarious. We are so far away from knowing what makes human beings function and what keeps them healthy that there is no way that we're going to win whatever it is that we're in now, to where we're pretty obviously losing, but our enemies know. And that's the problem. So you get an enemy from off planet that wants to do us in, and he can attack us with sending too much of an element, such as the fire element. That big earthquake in Turkey, was it a year ago? I said that it was fire that was thrown at Turkey. And months later, they had a photograph of the center of where that earthquake was. The earth literally opened up. And they were questioning it, like, how could that possibly have happened? As if something had hit there. Something did hit there. So we have people that know more about the elements than we do. And then we're trying to figure out how to fix things, not at a causal level, but at a symptom level. And then we have our children that can't sit still. They can't focus. You can't sit still. That's too much vitality. Well, where does vitality in the human system come in? The fire element. I have a list here. Okay. Let's go to the physical body. The big issues with the plague is heart. The heart stops. The heart is managed by the fire element. Blood pressure, lungs, the intubating, fire element. War, hate, violence, zombies, all fire element. All the gasoline of all of that is a fire element. And then we have the solar flares, and there were studies done that directly link the two world wars to solar flares. So we can run around accusing everybody of everything, but the main thing we should be accusing everyone of is not having the information they need to make the kind of decisions that are going to work long term. I'm not a Buddhist, I'm not Catholic, I'm not Christian. I like Buddhism, and I have a lot of Buddhist friends, and I totally honor whatever it is that they teach. And I love the Buddha. He supposedly said that the basis for human misery was ignorance. And what is ignorance if it's not a lack of information? We don't have the information about ourselves. Most people think that our spirit pops up out of no place when our physical body dies. No, my mother's spirit came to me at night. Oh, somebody saw a spirit at the funeral. Oh, my granddaughter says she can feel her grandfather here, his spirit. Okay, but they're talking about the spirit of somebody who died. But that person and you have a spirit that is not asleep until you die and then it wakes up. No. What it does when your physical body dies is it detaches from your physical body and is more free. When you're alive, supposedly, the astral travel that we do is creates a relief for the physical body and a relief for that spirit, because it is our spirit. And when you have an out of body experience, that's your spirit that's floating above the just one second, somebody. Okay, is somebody trying to advertise something? So let's get him block. Okay, there we go. So we don't even know that we have a spirit that is here right now, right now, right now. My spirit is here right now. Now I can see my spirit is not totally aligned with my physical body. My spirit, the head is right here. So it's here. It should be right aligned with my physical. It's not. Not surprising with what I have going on in my life, because that is a type of disassociation. And you disassociate when you have fear or a tremendous rage or tremendous depression or tremendous wanting to die. We can sign on the dotted line, check mark all of those things. We don't know enough about ourselves, and that's what I hope to bring to the table in terms of teaching people. You can't really take care of yourself or defend yourself unless you know what you're defending and what you're taking care of. And yes, we have done a good job of taking care of our physical body in terms of comfort. We have not known how to take care of ourselves, having to do with being protected from violence or having to do with being protected from what's going on in the other dimensions. We have not known how to take care of ourselves in terms of disease. We get happy when we cure a disease. Well, how about if we reach back to causal and we don't have this disease to start out with? Going back to the violence. So we have this whole list of people that are getting assassinated, and probably another whole group. That cannot happen unless there's an excess of the fire element. It can't happen. Now, you're not going to be able to take care of that yourself, but you don't really have to. Contrary to before, you can create your own reality, even if the planet is literally going up in flames. And as you can see from the mind maps that I'm doing in the last, I'm going to go and check, and tomorrow I will tell you when it was that it changed. But before, when I did the mind map for these groups, this was green. It's not. I'm not sure that it was the day before or on the 10th that this went into flames. And now the green is above it, lifted up. Ascension process, planet Earth breaking into two planets. I'm just sketching. I don't have to have the final verbiage or the final conclusion. So we have to deal with the fire element in your life. You have to deal with it in terms of the life of your family, because you could have a kid that could end up being a zombie because you didn't know any better, because your child is sleeping on that wall, and on the other side of the wall is the pool pump, 220 electricity, and the head of the bed is there. So all night long, he's getting 220. And he doesn't like to go out to nature, because if he goes out to nature, then he will, the electricity, Wi-Fi, 5G is fire. We have too much fire. But if you go to the beach a lot and you're outdoors a lot, water puts out fire, earth puts out fire if you go to parks. So you can balance it that way. There's so much radiation. I'm not sure that we can ever really get the balance that we would want ideally, but it would certainly be much better. But the kids don't go outside, and the adults don't go outside either. And we air condition everything, so we don't even have the elements coming into the home. So, in terms of the violence that's out there and our fear that our families are going to get hurt, our country, let's put the country to the side. You, your family, just have to reduce the fire element in yourself, which you can do via mantras, certain foods that you eat, like watermelon, everything that's growing under the ground. Watermelon puts out fire, aloe vera, there's a whole list of things, which I'm not going to go into here. You can go to the beach, and instead of going to shopping centers and places like Disney, you can go and have a natural vacation in nature. You don't even need to do camping. You can stay in a place that has a beautiful setting. Earth puts out fire, beach puts out fire. So, what has us all concerned is the violence. Concerned that somebody's going to press the button for a nuclear bomb, which starts a nuclear war. The person who's going to press that has to have too much fire, or they wouldn't be doing that. I'm not sure that we're going to be able to stop that, but we don't have to be part of that reality. And this is not fanciful thinking. I'm not an optimistic psychic. In my training, which was by military and scientists, there's no New Age movement. There's no talking all about love. There's no talking about how nice people are and the ascension. No, 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 no. What are you seeing? What is the reality? And the reality is that you can end up being okay if you can get your elements balanced. So I'm going to do a little teeny weeny short, my goodness, I've talked forever. A short personal story. I am having a huge issue today, which I'm not going to talk about, beyond the poisoning. So I was doing my mantras. My dog was letting me know that I was out of control. And I didn't quite understand what the situation was until I started to do mantras. And then I realized how truly upset I am about something, which makes you disassociate if you're not really feeling it. So I went, okay, let me check. And so what I was checking, I was getting exactly what has me so upset. Something got awful. And I went, I can't do this. And then I went, okay. We create reality. I have created this awful thing. How do I uncreate it? And you need to listen, because this is for you. I'm not just trying to share my life so I can have somebody to talk to. What I did was I said, okay, so this is going to kill me. Okay, so let's go to the future, but let's go further than like the next 30 days. And let's visualize, create what it is that I want. And I did that. And then I moved back towards the situation that's happening like now within these 30 days. I could see the change. It was like a blue light that went kind of like this through the god awful images of the reality that I was seeing before. I was able to change it by simply practicing what it is that I've learned and that I teach, but on something very specific, really bad. And I was able to recreate it. So the more we know about ourselves and the more we know about creating reality, the easier it's going to be for you to be able to create the reality of the golden age that supposedly we are entering, and we are entering it. That's the whole thing with the gold and white dress. Can you see that gold? Or are you still seeing it blue and bronze? At which time you could have gold on your desk and you wouldn't see it. You don't have the vibe. You don't have the resonance. So we have to work quickly to get this information operational. It's a lot of information all at once. It's like arriving in kindergarten, and then you find out that what you have to do for the survival of yourself and your family is to do something that generally it takes 12, 14, 16 years to learn, but you don't have the time. It has to be now. So you're in kindergarten, you go, okay, give me the information. Let's see if we can process this and get this. That's what's going on right now. We're in Revelations, we're going to find out everything. And we are overwhelmed with it. The good news is that from here, you create reality. So you don't have to go and airdrop marijuana over Iraq. And you don't have to try to figure out how to stop people from assassinating each other. You have to figure out for you. And when you do that, those god awful things that happen out there very miraculously end up not being able to have a ripple effect on your life. That is what creating reality is all about. It's like almost unbelievable, but it is real. And we are constructed to create. And we create our reality, but we are programmed to obey, constructed to create, and programmed to obey. We're obeying other people. We're following systems that don't work. And we're doing things because we're obeying, and it's the law, and it's not making any sense. I see a lot of people disobeying now. I see a lot of whistleblowers. It's good. But you're basically just kicking it back at some stuff bad. You still have to create for yourself something good. Can you do that? That's what you need to do. So I'm going to sketch you while you're doing the peace mantra. And the peace mantra is right here. Give me a second and I will get it. Next incarnation, I am not going to be half Cuban. Cubans talk a lot. This is interesting. I have, I'm not sure whether this is conspiracy or simply bad luck, but there's basically nothing that I'm doing on social media that's working. I haven't been able to access my emails for 48 hours. No email, no in, no out, no email. Very interesting way to live. Very, very, okay. And I'm going to do the whale sensory therapy. So you can go very deep on this. And I'm feeling you as a collective, and I'm feeling that whatever it is that I said now kind of is making you feel less pessimistic. Human beings create reality. We all know that. Where did we get off track? Maybe obeying rather than creating? Maybe depression? Maybe we weren't allowed personal power, whatever it is. I think that my complaint about being Cuban and talking too much, I think maybe something that I said, I hope in all those minutes was very helpful in terms of being able to augment your ability to be positive so that you can create more easily. Because when you feel bad, it's very hard to create positive. Mantras are repeated in the mind, and you expel the breath through your mouth, and you can have 2 feet on the ground, and that would be good. The Apana Mudra is very good for centering and not losing your attention, and you put the back of your hands on top of your thighs. Let's go ahead and do 15 minutes. So, how do you feel? How much better do you feel? This is what I sketched, the collective mind map of this group. The fire is, this is planet Earth. Fire is higher. These X's are curses, black magic. Oh, what word do they use in YouTube? Doesn't matter. Then we have where we're at, which is green, but the fire is reaching it. What does that mean? For the ascension process, we're going to have to go even higher. I don't know. We do have the 3 protective triangles. Not sure what that is. Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. I'm not sure why I'm saying that. The third eye, nicely, one eye, third eye. Again, in the Bible, when thy 2 eyes become, it's one. Why this is here? I think that is. So I'm going to tell a story. Mind streams are orange, and they became orange. I think it was Friday night. From all this creativity and God energy. Yesterday, I was coming back from a botanical garden, which I went to because rather than going to the water, which is what I prefer, what I need is earth. So I went to the botanical garden. I looked for a huge tree that was not a palm tree, because a palm tree gives you the energy of flexibility. The hurricane comes, the palm tree goes like this, and then it comes back up again. I already do that. Ever ready, bunny. Knock Frances down, she comes back up again. I want more stability, stronger. So I chose this tree, and I was there for a while. Then I came home. On the way home, I've been noticing that my dog, Michi, is having some personality traits like the other dog I had to put down. Her name was Lucky Lola. Lucky Lola 2. And I had to put her down because she was sick. About 6 months ago, it almost killed me and almost killed Michi too. But then lately, Michi's having more characteristics of Lucky Lola, which is kind of nice because I had Lucky Lola longer and I think I loved her more. That's the truth. I'm sure Michi can't hear that. But what's the trick? In the car, I decided I'll do a little video with Michi to put up on my social media. And Michi informed me that Lucky Lola, the dog I put down, and Michi, that's alive and well here with me, they were one soul in 2 bodies. I went, okay. And Michi explained that that they knew that one of them was going to have to leave because one of them was going to take on energies and illnesses that were already started in my body, and they would transfer it to them, which dogs do all the time. And throughout history, people have known that the animal takes it on and the animal dies. And the human doesn't have that problem and may never have found out that they did have the problem because the animal took it on. So my Michi explained that they were 2 dog bodies, 1 soul. So 1 dog body left with illnesses that I had or conditions, whatever, which I knew because the dog told me that before I left. But I didn't know that it's only 1 soul. So it's cute because now with Michi, I'm still dealing with Lucky Lola, who I adored. I still have Lucky Lola. But the big thing is 1 soul, 2 bodies. Now, I read for a family who had twins. In vitro, whatever one of those things that they do for people that can't have kids. Twins. And the twins, their physical body is a vehicle that we're poured into, whatever. They would play around with their spirits. So sometimes the spirit was in the physical body that was supposedly his. But then sometimes the spirit from that physical body would jump into the physical body of the other twin, and that twin would jump into his body. I basically never told anybody about that because I explained it to the parents, but in a way that was very veiled, and their eyes were very veiled. So they never really took it in. And I was okay with that because nobody even knows they have a spirit that's alive before they die. So, I could never have educated them to get them up to whatever to be able to truly integrate that. But I'm doing a lot of chats with the Mantrista group about, do they have fragments? We all do. And then I went a little bit closer to the edge and I said, well, maybe you have a fragment of you that's from off planet. And then I got even closer to the edge and I said, maybe you are not really from here, you're from someplace else. And we do mantras, and we do 25, 30, 40 minutes of a mantra. And we were doing it to integrate that fragment. It was really very interesting because several of the people could see themselves off planet, and they could see that part of them that has to do with ETs, not human, plus the fragments that they have from traumas from their childhood, from this lifetime. And then I get Michi telling me that it's one soul, two bodies, which makes sense if you know enough and if you're observant enough. Because for months, I've been like the way Michi will ask to be put up on the bed. Normally, I just tap on the bed, and Michi knows it means come on up and hop up. But my other dog was sick for a long time. So my other dog would stand next to the bed and put his paws up like this and wait for me to pick him up and put it. So Michi every once in a while does that. Doesn't make any sense. He knows how to jump up on the bed, but it's maybe not totally him. And I got my explanation yesterday. Why am I sharing this story? For you to know about my personal life and my little pets? No, because that's us too. And I'll finish this because I think this is really important. Many years ago, when I really didn't know everything that I know now, I had superpowers, but I didn't really know what I know about the human assemblage of bodies and whatever. I had a client, and the client was not well, and the client was hospitalized. And the wife asked me if I could help. I said, well, I'm not really sure what I could do. And when I checked, the client wasn't the client. Well, he was a client, even though he wasn't the one who contracted me. The issue was, when I went to check, that person was severely disassociated, and basically, because of some huge issues, had kind of left his body, disassociated. What the man that wrote the book, The Power of Now, which says you can't disassociate, you have to stay in. And that's in the Lord's Prayer. Absolutely. Anyway, he had disassociated severely, and there was a spirit, a huge spirit there, ready to walk in and take over, at which time we would have never been able to do anything with this person. And I didn't. And so the people that had hired me to see if there was anything I could do, can you do something? And I said, honestly, I don't know, but I'll try and I'll let you know. So I went back, and what I did instinctively, I went, and one of my spirits, because you can duplicate your spirits many times, 500 times, 30 times. All of us, that's a characteristic of your astral spirit. What I did was, and I think I actually talked to his spirit. That part I don't remember. What I did was I put a piece of me, one of my astral spirits, inside his physical body. There was no space left for the spirit that was stalking him. So I get a call, miraculous change. He's cooperating. Everything's fine. And I did it with a second person that was very sick and said to me, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm sick, but I have to work. I have no money. I cannot possibly not work. And I said, I'll try to help you out. And I did that. It turns out you're not supposed to do that. Unethical. I did not know that at that point. I was helping these people. But even if you want to help people, you are not supposed to do that. What most of you are not going to be able to do that. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the separation, not of church and state. I'm talking about the separation of your spirit from your physical vehicle, and how easy it is for other beings to come in. And meanwhile, your spirit is over there, having lost its deep connection with the physical body, because your spirit, which is your astral emotional body, is so miserable, it has no problem walking away from the physical body. Meanwhile, you have an empty shell, an empty vessel. Something else comes in. Don't know why I'm telling you these stories, which are a little bit kind of like advanced and make me sound like a little crazy, except for the fact that I think we're going to have huge zombie issues like now. And you need to understand these concepts in order to be able to keep yourself safe. Or if there's a zombie issue, on my website, I have a page titled Zombies, What to Do. And basically, as I said before, and I'm going to say it again, I'm sorry if I'm repetitive. If somebody that you love becomes a zombie, the first thing you have to do is forget your belief systems and forget, oh, gee, I don't know if I can do that. You visualize a tube coming like the umbilical cord coming out of the back of the liver of that person that's a zombie, and you cut it, and then you tie up the two ends. And there's a little bit more to the protocol, but it doesn't really matter. Why? Because we are infused with the energy of violence and paranoia from Orion. How come zombies can have superpowers in the sense that they have this superhuman strength, vitality? Where does that come from? Fire. How do we stop all that fire? You cut that tube in the back. Now, I'm sure there's many other things that we should do, but at this point, just get over it and just do it. Well, I can't really see it. You don't have to see it. You intend it. Please, God, help me with my intention to cut the connection to Orion. And you cut it with a black obsidian knife. Where do you get one? You don't have to get one. This is the other dimensions. It's all in the head, and it's all visualization, intention, and vitalizing it with your breath. Lots of information, but I think with this information, which you don't have to believe, you just hold it, just hold it, just hold it. It's there. Things start to happen. You start to connect the dots. None of this information is incompatible with what has been known forever on this planet by a very select group of people, which is why this process is so unfair. A lot of that select group of people don't have such great intentions. And that's why I was able to learn so much by watching through remote viewing what is done to people when they put curses on them. It's really neat. Those witches, witch doctors, medicine men, whatever, they have an incredible ability to create a negative reality. Create. How did they do that? And then you switch it around with good intentions, and you're able to do white magic, which is my ultimate goal with all of you. Okay, we are finished for today. We live in very interesting times. Okay, my name is Frances Fox, and I'm glad that you joined me, and I'll be back here tomorrow. Love you a lot.